Please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskrityam
Narayanam Namaskrityam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswati Vyasam
O Jayamudiraye
Tato Jayamudiraye
Nashtaprayeshu Yabhadreshu
Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu
Yam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhagavati Naishtiki.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki.
Thank you for joining in, everyone. And today we're going to read chapter 6, which is titled Dhyana Yoga, and verses 6, 11, and 6, 12. So, you can see. Suchodeshe pratishtapya. Please repeat.
Suchedeshe Prishtapya
Tiram asanam atmanaha.
Tiram
Asanam
Atmana
Nyati utrishtam nati nitam.
Nati Chritam
Nati Nicham
Shaila jina kushotaram.
Ela
Jina
Jina
Pushotram
Tatraikagram manakritva.
Tatrika
Tatrikagram
Manakritva
Yat chittendriya kriyaha.
Yachitendriya
Vinyasane yunjat.
Upavishasane Yuja
Yogam atma vishuddhaye.
Yogam Atma Visuddhaye.
Word for word translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sucha. Please repeat.
Sucha.
In a sanctified.
Insanctified.
Deshe.
Deshe.
Land.
In the land.
Pratishtapya.
Pratishtapya.
Placing.
Blessing.
Stiram.
Sthiram.
Firm.
Firm.
Asanam.
Asanam.
Seat.
Seat.
Atmanaha.
Atmanaha.
His own.
Self-dependent. Yeah. His own.
No.
No.
Not.
Not.
Ati.
Ati.
To.
To.
Utritam.
Ushritam.
High.
High.
Na.
No.
Nor.
Nor.
Ati.
Ati.
To.
To.
Nicham.
Nicha.
Low.
Low.
Shaila ajina.
Shaila Agna.
Of soft cloth and deer skin.
Soft cloth and deer skin.
Kusha.
Kusha.
And kusha grass.
Kusha grass.
Uttaram.
Uttaram.
Covering.
Covering.
Tatra.
Tatra.
Thereupon.
Thereupon.
Ekagram.
Ekagra.
With one attention.
With one attention.
Manaha.
Manaha.
Mind.
Mind.
Kritva.
Kritva.
Making.
Making. Doing so.
Yata chitta,
Yata chitta,
controlling the mind.
controlling the mind.
Indriya,
Indriya,
senses.
senses.
Kriya,
Kriya,
and activities.
activities.
Upavishaya,
Upavisha,
sitting.
sitting on.
Asane,
Asane,
on the seat.
on the seat.
Yunjat,
Yunjat,
should execute.
execute.
Yogam,
Yogam,
yoga practice.
yoga practice.
Atma,
Atma,
the heart.
the heart.
Vishuddha,
Vishuddha,
for clarifying.
for clarifying.
Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Ki Jai.
Please repeat. To practice yoga,
To practice yoga,
one should go to a secluded place
one should go to a secluded place
and should lay on the kusha grass on the ground.
and should lay
on the
grass
grass and
And then cover it with deer skin and a soft cloth.
and then cover
cover it with the
the
deer
seat
skin
of
and
cloth.
The sea should neither be too high or nor too low.
The seat should
neither
neither
be
too
too high
high
nor too low,
And should be situated in a sacred place.
and should be
should be
situated in a
situated in
sacred place.
sacred place.
The yogi should then sit on it very firmly
The
The
yogi
yogi should then
can
sit
sit
on it very firmly
very firmly
and practice yoga
and
and
practice yoga
practice yoga
to purify the heart by controlling his mind,
to purify the heart by controlling his mind,
senses, and activities,
senses and activities,
and fixing the mind on one point.
and fixing the mind on one point.
Brought forth by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Sacred place refers to a place of pilgrimage. In India, the yogis, the transcendentalists, or devotees all leave home and reside in sacred places such as Prayag, Mathura, Vrindavan, Rishikesh, and Haridwar, and in solitude practice yoga, where the sacred rivers like Yamuna and Ganges flow. But often this is not possible, especially for Westerners. The so-called yoga societies in big cities may be successful in earning material benefit, but they are not at all suitable for actual practice yoga. One who is not self-centered and whose mind is not undisturbed cannot practice meditation. Therefore, in the Brihanaradiya Purana, it is said that in Kali Yuga, the present yuga or age, when people in general are short-lived, slow in spiritual realization, and always disturbed by various anxieties, the best means of spiritual realization is chanting the holy name of the Lord. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nameva Kevalam, Kalau Nasteva Nasteva, Nasteva Gatiranyata. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way, there's no other way, and there is no other way. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jananjana Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapatakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganatam Tam Vitantam Sajiva Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijanastritam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Shri Kanalalita Shri Vishakha Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Namami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Prapasindhu Evacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Thank you everyone for joining in today. And this verse is like, this chapter is titled Dhyana Yoga. And Dhyan, and this verse deals with like how one should actually sit, where there's the place and how one should actually sit while practicing Dhyana Yoga. In the previous verse, which yesterday Akhilesh Prabhu took, it was about how to engage the body in relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And for that was suggested one should actually stay in a secluded space and carefully control the mind. And this verse deals with like the place one should sit, how he should sit, and how he should actually perform how the process of actually purifying the mind. And it'll go like further in this chapter, like how what all a person should do, like when one is practicing yoga. Yoga, like in this chapter, is described like as this Dhyana Yoga is one of the parts of Ashtanga Yoga, which is like the 8 limbs of the 8 limbs of yoga. Yoga is like the entire yoga is divided into 8 parts, where you start with you start with the rules and regulations, like there's a yama, there's a niyama, then there is once you cultivate yama and niyama, like yama and niyama are kind of described as like the ethical rules. Like yama means there are, within yama there are like different rules, like there is ahimsa. Ahimsa means non-violence. There's satya, truth, the truth, and then there is like brahmacharya. There is something called aparigraha, which means like not being possessive. Like these are the things one needs to cultivate. Then in niyama we have things like there is one should practice saucha, which means cleanliness. Then there is santosha, which means like one has to be like contented with what he has. Then there is tapas, which is like austerity. Then there is like swadhyay, which means like studying the Vedas. Then there is Ishvara Pranidhana, which means contemplating the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So all these things have to be cultivated. So these are the first 2 limbs. And then we come to the next one, which is called asana. Asana means exercising. All the different kinds of exercises, so that your body begins, is like body is like becomes used, or you condition the body to take you to the next level, which is like pranayama. Pranayama is again like all the breathing exercises. This is also to make your body like a condition for like when you're actually coming to this dhyana yoga. After pranayama, there's something called pratyahara. And pratyahara is like, it's like drawing one's own, like you withdraw your senses, you withdraw from all your senses, and you'll actually, you try to control your senses. Like, it's like Srila Prabhupada describes in one of the purports, like how a tortoise, it withdraws and gets into the shell. It withdraws from, and similarly, we have to withdraw the senses and get inside the shell. Then finally, there is like a dharana, which is like concentration, which, where, and that's where it is described, like fixing. The yogi should remain very firmly, practice yoga to purify his mind, senses, activities. So those are all the steps we just described, and fixing the point on one mind on one point. So that is actually dharana. And finally, you have not finally, the last one is this is the second last step is dhyana. Dhyana is like like you're actually contemplating or focusing on whatever your object of meditation is. That is, and then finally, like it's called samadhi, or samadhis means like your total integration with your object of meditation. So these are all the um, different limbs of yoga. And the in the Mayavadis, they actually contemplate their point of getting into samadhi is like merging into the supreme, in the Brahman, like effulgence of the Lord. But for devotees, it's just contemplating or thinking of the Lord always. So you are concentrating always. You're thinking of the Lord. That's samadhi. Samadhi for the devotees. Like now, if you in the purport, like what Srila Prabhupada is saying, like he says, like in India, the yogis, the transcendentalists, all leave home and reside in places such as Prayaga, Mathura, Vrindavan, and Rishikesh, Haridwar. So what they do? They go they live in all these holy places. So mainly because this holy place, because he talks about the rivers, Ganga, Yamuna, holy rivers, and these are holy places. The sacred vibration. There's this very positive sacred energy. So it becomes much easier for them to practice yoga and go through these different processes. So that's what all the holy people in India they do. And they all when they all come out, like you don't generally see, when you go to India, you don't generally see all this ascetics and all that. But when there is like some mela, like the Kumbh Mela or something, you see them all coming out in like huge numbers, and they take part, and they go for the dip in the holy rivers, like like Ganges. And recently we had the Ardha Kumbh in Nasik, which was recently we had the Kumbh in Haridwar, but there's also some other Kumbh Mela which goes on in Nasik in Maharashtra. They take dip in the Godavari. So, and even though they are like remaining, like they live in secluded spaces, and they're they're practicing this Ashtanga yoga, and the sacred place. They do that because the sacred places have very positive energy, because some of these places are all have some association with the Lord, where the Lord has actually he's performed some pastimes. So that's why even Srila Prabhupada tells us, we should always visit these holy places. That's why we make these yearly trips to Vrindavan, or even like Mayapur, because that place, Lord Chaitanya, he did his pastime, Jagannath Puri. We go to all this because it gives us like this positive vibrations and positive energy. And of course, we'll come to the devotees, like the bhaktas. We don't do this. We're not encouraged to do this Ashtanga yoga, and we'll come to that later. Actually, Srila Prabhupada explains, but this is not possible, especially for Westerners. And the so-called yoga societies in big cities may be successful in earning material benefit, but they're not at all suitable for actual practice of yoga. Now, yoga has become like very popular in the Western world, and it's become very popular. And even the Indian government is actually promoting yoga. Last few weeks ago we had the International Yoga Day, where this yoga was being promoted across the world. But for most people, yoga just means good exercise. It's meant for keeping the body healthy, and they're not interested in getting into the higher benefits yoga can bring. They're not because most people nowadays, they're not even like spiritual, so they don't care. I mean, there are some people who practice meditation, they do all this yoga, they practice meditation, but even that's for just some peace of mind, or their own personal well-being. It's not the peace of mind, or it's not done with the motive of serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's just one. I mean, these are additional benefits that yoga bring, but the actual benefit is one should get into that mode of if you practice actual yoga, that is to connect yourself with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yoga, the word yoga itself means connecting, or linking. The yug, it's come from the word Sanskrit yuj, which means like connecting, yoke. So that's the whole purpose of yoga. But most people for most people out there, even though it's very popular, like all it means is a sense of well-being, either keeping your body healthy or like meditation by just thinking of nothing, uh, or just like some people say, like, okay, just you concentrate on um, the the point of the nose, the point of like here, like, so that's for them. That's it. And this interesting thing is other like one time I read like, okay, you also do like yoga while walking. What is that? You just concentrate on the steps of sound of the steps you're walking. So there you're concentrating. So that also gives you the power of meditation. So people come up with such vague ideas about yoga. But what the actual purpose of yoga is to connect ourselves with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then one who is not self-controlled and whose mind is not undisturbed cannot practice meditation. Yeah, that's the reason. Like one goes through all the different limbs we just explained. So we need to get practice them so one can be able to control his mind. But Srila Prabhupada says, like in the Brahad Naradiya Purana, it said that Kali Yuga, when people in general are short-lived, slow in spiritual realization, and always disturbed by various activities, the best means of spiritual realization is chanting the holy name of the Lord. So what Srila Prabhupada is saying, in this age, it's very difficult to control the senses. So, and most people are not self-controlled anyway. So for them, they have laid out a very easy way has been laid out, and that is just chanting the holy name of the Lord. So when you actually start chanting the holy name of the Lord, what happens? All these qualities, what we just described, that is God. By practicing that 8 limbs of yoga, automatically starts coming into us. So we don't have to make like a separate endeavor, to start doing. We don't have we don't have to make an what do you call it, an endeavor like knowingly all to do all this asana, niyama, yama, niyama, asana. We don't really have to start practice a special endeavor. So the ultimate purpose of all this is to control the mind and link to the Supreme. That's what I just said before. So when you start chanting, you're actually your senses are being controlled. You start developing good qualities, and then you start linking yourself with the Supreme. And again, like we talked about, like how a positive vibration is set in this holy places and all those different. So actually, we can actually in our own houses, or we can actually create a secluded space. So what happens is like we can keep our deities in that secluded space. Then we can have nothing there, like except our like like religious literature like Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. We keep our chanting bags there. We sit there, and then we go there only for like what spiritual purposes, like for maybe arti. Then we can do like read our Srila Prabhupada's books there. We do our chanting there. Just use that and keep cell phones away. Keep other kind of literature away from that place. It's, if possible, we can have a separate room set up for it. Otherwise, have something similar, a corner of your house. If you're living in an apartment, have a corner which is, and actually the scripture suggests like you have it in the northeast direction of your house. I mean, the Vedic, there are like according to Vedic, there are 16 directions. And one of them is like, it's called the Ishan Cone, which is like the northeast direction. So you have to keep the deities and whatever your spiritual practices are done, that should be in the northeast part of your house. So that's very helpful for, it gives a very positive energy. So, and then again, the best time like is getting up in the morning and chanting, like in the morning, like the Brahma Muhurta, when again, like there's very less disturbance. There's not of, it's the mode of, the time is in the mode of goodness, like just like we know the three, even time is divided into like the 3 different modes. So the best, the mode of goodness is in the early, like Brahma Muhurta to about like 10 o'clock. Then slowly it gets into the mode of passion, like in the afternoon. And after like night, like it comes into the mode of ignorance. So if you notice, like all the spiritual people, like they're mostly active, they'll be very active during the early morning hours. And all the people are like busy working, trying to make like a lot of money. They'll all be working in the afternoon hours and like early evening hours. And all the people who are like into doing all the useless, like notorious thing, like stealing, thieving, and all that's all done mostly in the late night hours. All the sinful activities are done. So you can see that how the modes influence the day, and people whose activities are also influenced by the modes. So you can see even in the day. So the best time for like spiritual activities are like early morning. That's why Srila Prabhupada, when he created ISKCON, he kept like the Brahma Muhurta for like Mangalarti. Like you imprint the image when you go for Mangalarti. What happens? You imprint the image of the Lord in your mind. Then after that, you do like the chanting for the next 2 hours, and then you have the Bhagavatam class. All this actually, you're connecting with the Lord. So you don't really like I said, you don't have to really make a special separate endeavor to, do all those limbs. When you read the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita in the morning, all the what we describe, one of the things we described in Niyama is Swadhyay, where you're actually getting, you're getting knowledge, you're seeking spiritual knowledge. That is inculcated automatically. Excuse my pronunciation. So that is kind of comes to you automatically. Similarly, like when you're attending Mangalarti, like you're contemplating on Ishvara, which is Ishvara Pranidhana. So all these things are happening. We don't have to make a separate effort. So you can see how Srila Prabhupada has actually, created this ISKCON society, and he's given us this system where, whatever is very difficult in the Kali Yuga for people living in cities or like Western world, we can achieve it. He's made it possible by creating this whole system. So that's like what like Srila Prabhupada created a house where the whole world can live in. It makes it like so real, and just by connecting, like we may not be even 100% serious, but somehow if we can connect to this house of Srila Prabhupada, somehow this boat, which is it's described sometimes as a boat, just get into the boat, it'll just take us back to Godhead. And it's interesting, Srila Prabhupada also said at times, like, I have a backdoor key to Golok Vrindavan. So somehow or other, we just have to remain connected with ISKCON, like then all these good qualities will come in us, and then which can actually take us back to Godhead. So if you're connected with Srila Prabhupada's movement, there's no need to go to a secluded place. There's no need to go sit too high, too low. All we need to do is start chanting and do devotional service, what Srila Prabhupada instructed us. There's no need to go through this arduous process of Ashtanga Yoga. It's very difficult. Srila Prabhupada describes it some like other places like climbing up the stairs. Doing Ashtanga Yoga is like climbing up the stairs, but practicing devotional service, which is chanting and all that, as an elevator back to Godhead. And then Srila Prabhupada will be standing there with a backdoor key, so we just can enter through the back door. Isn't that like very? Isn't that great of Srila Prabhupada? So that's the thing. Like Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport. So even though this chapter is about dhyana yoga, the real thing is actually devotional service. The real dhyana comes from devotional service, not those meaningless. I mean, I shouldn't use the word meaningless, but very often misunderstood asanas and pranayam and all that. I mean, they're good. You can do them like for your general well-being, and they even help with our own devotional service. They can be done, but we have to understand those things are not all in all. What is the actual thing is devotional service, which is chanting. And in this age, it is, like the verse concludes by, Srila Prabhupada concludes the verse by saying, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Kevalam. And it's stressed like 3 times. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Kevalam. So it's Hari's name, it's the Lord's name, which is only, which can give you the gati. Gati means the way, or the destination. So that's the only way to the destination is Harir Nama. So all we need to is to sit, is to chant. And all the qualities which are described, which are actually which are cultivated through this 8 processes of 8 limbs of yoga, will automatically come into us. So I'll finish here, and we can open the room for questions. So, any discussions? Haribol?
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Very wonderful class, Prabhuji, and very important to understand the difference between the so-called yoga that we all do nowadays, for our well-being, and how to actually shift our consciousness to do it in the right spirit, so that we can maintain our body to do more devotional service, right? So
yes,
very nicely explained, Prabhuji. I have a question. I accidentally visited one of the meditation classes in library, and because I was just going there and they wanted me to just join it. And in that meditation class, Prabhuji, they just said, to close the eyes, and they were chanting Om, right? And to meditate on that Om sound, and just to get into that mood, so that, and relax your mind and all those things, right? So my question is, I know that, even I think I read it somewhere, or long back when we were small, we used to watch this Mahabharata serial where Lord Krishna was preaching Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, and he said that the sound of Om is me,
Oh,
and
yes,
I'm not sure if that's correct. So in theory, like if we were asked to chant Om in that meditation, and we are just, that means we are indirectly connecting with Krishna, if that's the sound we are meditating on. But I just want to know that, if that's okay, or what is the difference?
Actually, Krishna describes in, I think it's the 10th chapter of the primeval sounds. I am Om, which is like, so it's
right.
Om represents sound, is a sound representation of Krishna. Om.
Right.
It's called Pranav mantra is Om.
Pranav mantra, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then we read in the 18th chapter, you were not all the everything that is holy has to be done. All the any sacrifice, anything that has to be done with Om.
Right.
So again, Om is like representation of Krishna. But in it is a very what do you call impersonal.
Right.
It's a very impersonal understanding. The real personality of Godhead, is in the name of the Lord. Hare Nama, Hare Nama. That's what Hare, Srila Prabhupada stressed on Krishna's name. Of course, we talk of the Mayavadis, it's also, they also concentrating on Krishna only, but they don't they're actually their destination, or they are looking to reach an inferior energy of Krishna, which is not they don't want to, they rather merge into the effulgence of Krishna. So many of these places where Om is, they are where you're being asked to chant Om. It's like they want you to concentrate on the primeval sound, and the idea there would be most likely, an impersonal understanding of Krishna. It wouldn't be a personal understanding of Krishna, right?
Yeah, there was no mention of Krishna. It was just, you do it Om. But my thinking was,
exactly. I mean, you are connecting to Krishna at some point, and then when you connect to Krishna, you might be able to get more, more knowledge about his pastimes, and then we might get a desire to serve him personally and all that. But that's, I mean, you can do it. I'm saying it's like, it's okay, but Srila Prabhupada has given us a higher understanding of it, a better way to do it. And I'm sure, like, when you went for that meditation and all that, it would be very difficult for you to sit there, like,
Yeah, I mean, I was
like
not able to
24/7.
concentrate, Prabhuji, because as soon as I closed my eyes, I was just seeing the feet of Shri Krishna, or Radharani. I mean,
Yeah.
I cannot, it was very difficult for me to concentrate on that sound of Om, So, but yes, it was, I mean, I just want to know the difference that, I mean, it's Om is also the sound that we have to concentrate on, and Krishna and that Hare Krishna, that also is a sound, right? That Prabhupada is asking us to concentrate on.
Other thing, Mataji, I want to tell you, just like like when Srila Prabhupada initiated a lot of devotees here, and then many of them went to India.
Mm-hmm.
Then some of them saw those Babajis. They were all sitting there and they were chanting the supreme, they were chanting the Maha Mantra. All right. So that's what our scriptures recommend us, like chant the Maha Mantra. So some of them wanted to become like Babajis and just sit there and chant the Maha Mantra. So they said, they asked Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada said no, but they didn't listen to Srila Prabhupada. They just sat on one tree, but after like few weeks, they just couldn't like do it. We to sit and like chant the Maha Mantra always is very difficult for somebody who's not conditioned. So we have to we can chant the mantra for some time, and then we have to do other devotional activities because our senses are like, we have to get to that condition where we can sit there and like, so that's why they train you to do the 8 limbs of yoga, but it's a very difficult process. Like that's Srila Prabhupada said, it's like taking the steps, but chanting the Maha Mantra, like you might not be able, when you do devotional service, you might not be chanting Maha Mantra the whole time, but also you're like cooking for Krishna, or your whatever activities you're doing, it's being actually the results of your activities being offered to Krishna. So all those time you're doing devotional service only. So you are connecting to Krishna without even you knowing it, like 24/7, you might not be like very actively, but subconsciously you're still Krishna conscious because all your activity, everything is being done for Krishna. You understand the difference, Mataji? Otherwise, you have to make a conscious effort and then do all this exercises, sit there. It's a very difficult process.
Right, Prabhuji. And I was actually even listening to Srila Prabhupada on this, on his opinion on yoga, whoever is meditating and all. And he said that by just practicing and sitting in that position and just concentrating on any of thing will not help you wipe away the karmas or anything, right? I mean, it might give you liberation, but if our goal is Golokdham, I don't know if that gives, So that's
like
how I related that,
yeah. Krishna's name wipes out like millions of
right.
karma from the past. Yeah, that's another thing. Yes, you're right, Mataji. Very good point.
Yeah. So that's how I understood that. Okay, But yeah, since the point came on, I just wanted to understand it deeply. Thank you, Prabhuji. It really helps.
Yoga is definitely very helpful, Mataji. It's very helpful. Like it helps us, like with our health, and when we have good health, we can we can do better devotional service. And we should see it in that spirit, and if you see it in that spirit, yoga is very good. And actually, it would be we should recommend yoga to all the devotees so they they build up their health, and like we have to keep ourselves healthy because serve the Supreme Personality, we need to be healthy. So yoga is like should be high. It's very recommend. We have to have a proper understanding of it. Why, what we need to do, like why we need to do it.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Any other questions or any discussion?
Thank you, Prabhuji, for a wonderful class.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Devotees, anybody else has anything to add? Any reflections, any concerns, comments, questions, actions?
Wonderful class, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. I have one question. I just want to clarify that. So basically, the love basically will be clear. We actually love anyone if we know anyone, right? So generally, we love our kid, right? Generally, gopis love Krishna because they know Krishna, right? So my point is that if you don't know anyone, like if you don't see, like, so basically, how that love can be created. So my question is that, so how to improve, how to increase the love for Krishna? Because so generally my point is that if you know anyone, generally the love can be increased, right? So generally I know my son, I know my wife. So if they, if they will be separated from me, then automatically that love will be there because I know that, right? So my point is that how that love can be increased if if you don't like
Yeah,
you know let but you don't personally if you don't see or something like
yeah, Prabhuji, like the way it is, like like Rupa Goswami, he's actually told us, how, like if you read like the Nectar of Devotion, um, uh, the nectar of the nectar of devotion. In that, they tell us to go through like what they tell us to go through sadhana bhakti. So we have to like actually start practicing devotional service. Like it's called sadhana. Like so and when you start doing sadhana bhakti, and also you do swadhyay. Swadhyay means uh, understanding the pastimes of Krishna. Like you read the Bhagavad Gita, which actually advised, and you read the Bhagavatam, which is the pastimes of Krishna. So you come to know like more and more about Krishna, and then you're also doing sadhana bhakti, where you're actually trying to associate Krishna by doing things for him. You do the arti, you cook for him, all those things. So when you do both together, Prabhu, like what happens, you eventually it comes. You start understanding Krishna more. You start knowing him more. It develops into like from sadhana bhakti. You go, then it becomes like. Initially it'll be called Vaidhi Bhakti, where you're just doing following the rules and regulations. But eventually that develops into Bhava Bhakti, and there are many different levels. So when you come to Bhava Bhakti, there'll be love, there'll be like respect, like then there'll be finally like the different. Finally, there's the final bhaktis where Krishna is attracted to you. Krishna will want to see you. So if you just follow the process of what our acharyas have explained, you will develop love for Krishna. So, and you need to do that under the guidance of your spiritual master. That's why a spiritual master is very important. Like you shouldn't just do things whimsically. A spiritual master will guide you, how exactly to do your bhakti, like how exactly to carry your bhakti process properly. That's why a spiritual master is very important. So he will give you like, what he, if you take a spiritual, he'll understand your personal situation, and once he understands, then he will have it like tailor-made for you to, uh, and it's not like just the Siksha Guru, like Diksha Guru who gives you Diksha. You could also have Siksha Gurus like the senior devotees who have been practicing Krishna consciousness for a long time. They will understand like your personal situation, and they can guide you. So it's very important to have Diksha Gurus and Siksha Gurus, for our spiritual progress. If you follow that, Prabhu, you will develop love for Krishna. So that's how Rupa Goswami like describes it. Did I answer your question, Prabhu?
yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes, sir. Yes, Prabhu.
Generally in the material life, basically we deviate, right? So basically, we are not able to focus our fully time with devotionally. So generally we have our own the work we do, and also we do the whatever work. So basically so generally we are not fully concentrated on devotional service. So basically we deviate, like sometimes like from our spiritual life into material life. So yeah.
Uh, Prabhu, that's why like a spiritual master will tell you like how you can, you can, what is the word, yukta vairagya, or like how you can dovetail your material life in service of Krishna. He'll understand your situation, and he'll describe, he'll guide you, a spiritual master. I mean, you can take guidance with senior devotees in our own, like in our own temple, like you can take guidance from them. And then they will guide you to like your Diksha Guru, who will actually connect you formally with Krishna. And once that happens, it become much more serious, like, mentally and otherwise. So then it'll be much more easier. So, and keep reading Srila Prabhupada's books, Prabhu, and then pray to Srila Prabhupada. He'll make you understand. He'll make you love Krishna more. Srila Prabhupada gave love of Krishna to all this, people like who were into drugs and all the other things. They became lovers of Krishna. And somebody like you who's like from a Vedic background, it should be much easier for you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Anybody else? Is there anything to add?
And Simeshwar Prabhu can share, he can tell you more about, all this.
I think you properly explained it. Yeah, that's what it is. This is bhakti. Love in the spiritual term is called bhakti. So, I mean, when you compare the love, there is nothing in the material world we call it love. It's just lust. There is no pure love in this material world. Comparatively, it's relative. But for the pure love means Krishna is all attractive. By taking Krishna's name, it's gradually developed before Krishna. So one time somebody asked Srila Prabhupada how we can have more chanting on Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Srila Prabhupada replied, yes, chant more. More chanted. If you chant, you will get more chanted. So like that, when you do bhakti, you will get more of it. It's loving, pure, devotional service. So love in that terms, in the spiritual realm, is bhakti. That we heard first, it's actually Shraddha. Starts from the Shraddha, faith in the Supreme. Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, by the association of devotees. Engage in the loving devotion in the sadhana bhakti, bhajana kriya, as we mentioned. He then slowly, removes, eradicates our anartha, lust, greed, anger, enviousness, arrogance and competitions and so many things. Right? These are all anarthas within ourselves. So when we have these more anarthas, when we are more attached to these material creations, then we develop more of this. Then if we practice this sadhana, this that's called anartha navurti. We come to the stage of nishti. That means we are getting more purified. Then we develop a taste that's really your more love for Krishna. That means we get a taste. Yeah, I mean, and I remember Sachimada was saying one time, Mataji doesn't join on the Bhagavatam class. Mataji feels something. Or Bhagavad Gita class feels something. And every day morning, and if they don't chant, they feel something missing. right? When you chant more and be more connected and attracted to Krishna. So this is called ruchi, or taste. Where this taste come from? Yes, our attachment, love for Krishna. So there are more purifications. Stage of asakti. Asakti means asakti to Krishna. More attachment to Krishna. Now we are, now naturally it will come. Yeah, wherever the Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's name, Krishna's holy name, when there is a service, and then there is, uh, you know, associating devotees and hearing Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, naturally we will have a complete focus on, yeah, this is talking about Krishna. This is talking about my Lord. This is called asakti. Then we come to the stage of bhava, and in the Prem Bhakti, but in an elaborate sense, when we come to the state of bhava, that means that's a time when we see Krishna, then we have the Ashta Sattvika Vikar, that means 8 kinds of Krishna. Look at Radharani, we saw the extreme beauty of Krishna, and our mood start to shiver. Both, eyes get waters, and we shivers, and our hairs stand on its own end, and we cry, Lord, we laugh, we smile. When we have that state of, your love, the prema, that this stage has to develop gradually by our endeavor, by our practice, our association of devotees. That how do we develop that? So we goes through this process of bhakti. This, if we do this one, if we practice this one, if we put this one in our life, day-to-day life, what is that 9th process of bhakti? That is Shravanam. At least try to hear the holy name of the Lord. And Smarana, meditating upon the Supreme Lord Vishnu. The Sevanam. Like many things, like book distribution, come to the temple, arranging and organizing, cleaning, it's all part of Sevanam. Narchanam. Archanam means offering to the Lord. If you have a flower, don't think that, okay, I can smell it. Rather than if there is a flower in your garden, think about that I can offer to Krishna. And if I have anything, I can offer to Krishna. And what is there, since to be. This was the examples followed great acharyas. Well, Raghunath Goswami every day offers hundreds of dandavas to the devotees. Remember that Srila Raghunath Goswami was a very close associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Goswami came to Vrindavan every day. Who knows? I mean, even one person chant the holy name. So Raghunath Das Goswami was giving dandavat pranams to those devotees in Vrindavan. Even though highly exalted, even Srimati Radharani personally was taking care of Sri Raghunath Das. That, oh, I am that, I am this, I should not be moved down to the Supreme Lord. I should not bow down to the situations. We may not be able to, but we should bow down to the, even in our mind. These are the etiquettes of, even if we come to the temple, it says that we should offer, when as soon as you enter into the temple, you have to pay the obeisance. Then you come in front of the deities, you have to, you may not be able to, but mentally, you have to offer the obeisances. You have to pay the respect. And like devotee, you have to pay the obeisance as soon as you see in the far distance. When you come closer to that devotee, you have to pay the obeisances in front of that great devotee. Or sannyasis, as soon as you see them, you have to pay the obeisances far distant. Vandana. So you have to offer every day to give the obeisances to the devotees of the Lord. Or if you have an altar, every day you have to pay the obeisances in front of the altar. These are a wonderful, wonderful. Don't claim that, I am something great and that, I can, load it over everything. I can command other people. I can do something other people so that everybody else is servant for me. So I am in sense of attitude, but we take our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya teaches us that, we should have this dasya, the servitorship, servitude attitude, right? That we should always have. That after, in the Charitamrita that, I am the worms in the stool of a hog. Even though he's a great devotee of the Lord, always thinks that. Every living entity is greater than. And even they all think that even I can become a small grass in the realm, in the Dham of Vrindavan, then my life would be successful. We should go very close to Krishna. That's perfect. So, Dasya, we should have that attitude of serving other devotees, serving the Supreme in all respect, sincerely and purely. And when you do that, then what happens? We develop this love. We can have the that, if you say that, Lord, you're my friend, I can talk to you, I can do, so Lord likes that. Then Dasyam, Sakyam, then Atma Nivedanam, then completely surrender unto the Supreme, that Supreme Lord is everything. And that's Atma Nivedanam. So these 9 processes, Rupa Goswami, or Gaudiya, the state of the Lord. Experience, this is a feeling, and by practice, sadhana, we come to that state of attachment. Raga Bhakti, then from the sadhana bhakti, we come to the Raganuga Bhakti. Another in a network of devotion is mentioned, and Ragatmika Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti, when we practice sadhana, these 9 processes and chanting of the holy name is not only the sadhana. These 9 processes is known as sadhana. We do the sadhana, then we develop this attachment to Krishna. That's called Viraganuga Bhakti, attachment. It is mentioned that if you follow some great personality, like imitate. So when we follow a great personality, that's called Ragatmika. That means, do like great devotees. We can follow them, what they do. We can follow them. Atmika, the state of Raganuga Bhakti. Raganu, that means more and more love for Krishna. And it's a great, it's a different levels, different realms of the spirituality or spiritual realizations. And this everybody can experience this. Yeah. Niruddha state, or called transcendental state. Everybody can come to that state, Niruddha or transcendental state. And there they can, everything is, so how he feels. Okay. Anybody has anything to add?
Guruji, I just want to check one thing, that when we are chanting, sitting in yoga mudra and doing chanting, that is not necessary, right? We can do chanting by walking and being at a secluded place, and there is no disturbance. That is sufficient, right, Guruji?
Is that, you want me to answer that, Prabhu? Or?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, Prabhuji, like, you know the 10 offenses, like by chanting, right? You heard of the 10 offenses?
Yes, Prabhuji, I'm aware of that.
Yeah, as long as you avoid that, Prabhu, you can chant in whatever way you can. You don't have to sit down. You can just chant. But it will be helpful for you to chant in a place, where the vibrations are positive. That's why I was saying, like, it should be in a secluded position and where you probably have like images of, Krishna, those kind of things. It's not necessary you have to sit in a yogic position and chant, whatever is comfortable to you. But then at the same time, you shouldn't be too comfortable, like, you start falling asleep, or you can chant while walking. That's a very good way to keep yourself, active. But just listen, as long as you're able to listen to the Mahamantra. Only thing you need to is like listen to the Mahamantra. That's all you need to do while chanting. And somehow that's how you that's what you may need to make sure of yourself. You just listen. You're able, as you're chanting, you're listening to the chanting. You're chanting. Does that answer your question, Prabhu?
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
That's all. I mean, of course. I mean, you don't lie down and chant and all this kind of thing. Keep your cell phone away. Keep your any books or anything. Some people are like the book lying there or newspaper lying there, tempted to go and look at the newspaper while chanting. So avoid those kind of things. Don't chant while driving your car. Some people do that, but like.
Right, Prabhuji, one, as you are staying in the material world, right? Yeah. So at the time of chanting, I definitely don't put the phone beside, but accidentally somebody comes and said, "Oh, the phone call is from your boss." So, and we are in the middle of chanting. So I'm trying to understand whether to answer that kind of call or, answer them that.
No, you could answer that call. I mean, it's very normal. Like when you're chanting, somebody comes and, has what you could do is you could stop at that bead and like, you could put that bead outside. So it's an indication where then you can finish your conversation and go back to the chanting again. Yeah. So that's okay. It's important. Like things are like, Krishna is very understanding. He'll like.
Thank you.
In the second verse of Vishishtashtakam, Guruji, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentioned that Kari Nidit Sarvashakti Tatrapida Niyamida Smaranena Kadana.
There's no rules and regulations.
Sorry, you broke up, Prabhuji. What you said? Sorry.
So there is a second verse of Vishishtashtakam, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very nicely put together. That there is no rules and regulations for chanting of the holy name. Tatrarpida niyamida smarana na kadana.
No rules, no regulations, no time, nothing.
Not you. Not you.
I mean, like there's that's Maharaj in Gita Nagari, Bhaktitirtha Swami. He would be chanting in the toilets of the train because he didn't want the police to catch him. He was in East Germany, communist country, and like he got in there and he was selling books, and he would be sitting in the toilet and chanting. So
we should not follow. I mean, again, that's extreme situations. That
extreme situation you can.
No other way, no other But for us, yes, we do have home. We don't need to go to toilet and chant.
No,
one thing generally says that Tulasi should not take it to the bathroom. Right? But
Yep,
if
yep.
there is no other way,
Got it, bro. Thank you so much.
Like another example is Prabhu, like Srila Prabhupada wanted one devotee to go into Poland to preach, because he wanted to, like, people there to chant. But the devotee said, "Oh, there's no vegetarian food in Poland." You said, "Okay, go eat meat, but you go and preach there." So then in extreme situations, you can, not Srila Prabhu definitely didn't want people to go make that an excuse and eat meat, but like in extreme situations, to spread the holy name, you can, do things. But like, again, like as we create a very positive area in your house, so you can sit and concentrate properly and chant.
a verse in the Nectar of Instruction, it is mentioned that we are so much the core of the process of bhakti. And we just bound by the rules and the niyama agraha. Niyama agraha means, yes, we don't even, we do things, but we don't follow anything. We don't follow any rules and regulations. Both are actually rejected by Sri Swami. Times in terms of the Hinduism is, people are so much, after the rules and regulations. Then what happens? Some point of time, people cannot even follow that, and then just, lose everything. You just leave everything, and yeah, I don't want to do anything. So there are some other religions. This happen because of so much of people are so much of, and in the our Hinduism there is more anajar than achar. What I mean? Anajar means, which is not supposed to do. People are so much, bound by these rules and regulations. Anachar. So achar must be there, not anachar. The ultimate goal is the bhakti. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Anybody else has anything to add? Okay, then if there is nothing else, then let's conclude today's session. And tomorrow we may not have. I'll send the details out about tomorrow's evening class. Services which are to be completed by, we can service so that it will be easy for Saturday Radhayatra. Things needs to be put it in place, and and cookies needs to be packed. There are some prasadam which packet, this distribute to the Atlantic City. If we can join tomorrow evening at the temple, that will be great. So that way, this all, services for the Lord will be, be done nicely. Not have class tomorrow. If there is any change, if it's all done, then I would send the WhatsApp messages, and if the class is there, I'll send it out. If the class is not there, also I will send that, we will not have class, and then starting from the New Jersey Avenue, that is 2 o'clock sharp. and then we come to the Kennedy Plaza, that is which avenue. That's at 4 o'clock. The Yatra is for 2 hours. Then 4 to 7 there is cultural programs as Kirtan. It's coming, and Bhushara Prabhu Shilabhu, Sayapullah Mission. And some more other senior Vaishnavas, and Ananda Prabhu from New York may be joining for Kirtan, and many devotees coming from various places for the Kirtan. We are getting the big cart. For Radhayatra, there was a big cart.
Prabhu, we can't hear you. You're breaking.
Is that? Okay. Sorry. Are you able to hear me?
Now we can. We have like in between you.
Maybe I was away from the speaker, Okay. So what I was saying that we will be having a big cart which was used for the New York Radhayatra. The same cart is coming to Atlantic City, and it starts at 2 o'clock and ends at 4 o'clock. One is cultural programs and kirtans, and Jaduda Maharaj and most probably Kavichandra Maharaj will be also joining. Then senior Srila Prabhupada's disciples, Ananda Prabhu from New York is coming. Bus is also going from the temple. It's already full. I think it's 44, 45. It's already full. If anybody is interested, please come. I mean, it's 2 hours drive from here. That if you join, for Atlantic City Radhayatra. Also, there is cooking is going to be started on Saturday morning, early morning, like immediately after the Mangal Arati. If anybody would like to join for cooking, please do so. This way, to the bhakti to the Supreme, and the Supreme Lord's mercy to the everybody. To the Krishna consciousness. Thank you so much. There is nothing else. Let's conclude. Vancha kalpatarubhashya kripa sindhubhya evacha patidanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Vaishnava Jai. Gaudiya Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Gandhiraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Gaura Premanandi.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.